Manor Lords is the most anticipated medieval game ever. It has been named the Total War killer and the greatest, most in-depth, down-to-earth city builder ever made. But is this game any good? And is it true to the time period it is set in? If not, what dramatic consequences could this hold, not only for Manor Lords itself, but for the whole game making industry? Manor Lords was created mostly by one man, Slavic Magic, who has been working on this game for over 5 years. This is one of the largest game developing projects undertaken by one man and should be considered an amazing achievement in its own right, simply for the dedication which has gone into it. And Manor Lords has not disappointed. The game is stunning. Having been able to play this game, I can confirm that Manor Lords does not fail in being an enjoyable, satisfying experience. But does it represent the real people who lived in the place and time which Manor Lords simulates? From the aesthetic and environment, as well as the buildings in the game, it is obvious that Slavic magic was inspired by late 14th century Franconia, which is the north of France, Flanders and Burgundy in the making of the game. This was a great choice from the developer, as this area of the world at that time saw the peak of feudalism and was the height of the Middle Ages. This was when nobles and lords were at their most powerful, when castles as well as armour and weaponry reached its peak of beauty. So this choice of time period was the perfect pick for the game, and Manor Lords doesn't let this potential go to waste. You start by making your own lord and coat of arms. Your lord's symbol can be chosen from choosing and putting together historically accurate designs which are clearly inspired and taken from coat of arms of noble houses from medieval Europe. The coat of arms which you choose as a player is worn by your knights, which was done extensively in 14th century Europe in order for knights to identify enemies and allies on the battlefield, and to also show his loyalty to his lord. Manor Lords does well to represent this tradition. In your personal retinue, which was sadly not in the free demo released on the 3rd of October, all of your soldiers will display your coat of arms on their shields. Talking about soldiers, armies are in the game. If they weren't, Manor Lords would not be realistic at all. When there's lords, land and trade, there's war. The game has a map displaying all the regions in the local area, all ruled over by your liege lord. This is feudalism 1-to-1. You play as a lord under a king, and in return for him giving you that land, you pay a certain amount of tax and give a certain number of levies to him. But the lords in every realm in Europe at that time fought against each other over dynastic and land-related disagreements. In Manor Lords, dynasties and political marriages will not be represented in the game, at least not like Crusader Kings, but it compensates for this with an in-depth diplomacy system which all lords of the realm can participate in. This simulates trade relations and, of course, the lead up to war. This system itself looks solid and fun to play, so I can't wait to be able to engage in this system at launch. Battles and armies will be included in the game. Unlike Total War, they aren't transported to a battlefield from a campaign map when a battle starts. Instead, you will call your peasants and personal retinue up for war. They will gather into one place, then set off to the rival lord's town. Your troops may meet the enemy forces on the way, or you may seek out or be sought out by the other army when this happens. The battle will start on the spot. You will just have to order your troops around in order to win that battle. You will still be on the map. The only difference is soldiers are fighting. I can see why Slavic Magic designed warfare in the game in this way. It definitely makes it easier for the player, but I do think the inclusion of a command structure of some sorts will add more flavour to the game, as well as increasing its realism. And now I want to talk about the significance of Manor Lords as a soon to be released strategy game. If Manor Lords is successful financially and proves to be a hit with the gaming community, it will prove that games can be made by a single or small teams of developers, which can challenge and surpass AAA titles, even though they are less well funded or backed by already existing companies with their own agendas. It will prove that good games can be made without the developers needing to sell their soul and creations to corporations who only care about profit margins. If this happens and Manor Lords is a hit, it will inspire more indie, in-depth games to be made, which will diversify the game developing market, which has become saturated and centralized. This will make competition greater between game developing companies, which will get rid of the decadence shown by big game making establishments, and therefore better games we like will be made. This will be great for the common gamer, because good games equals happiness. If Manor Lords fails, however, this will make the opposite happen. Because Manor Lords has so much hype and potential, its failing will discourage indie development, reducing competition and making future games worse for the customers. I remain an optimist though. I loved playing the demo. It was widely praised, so I have faith that Manor Lords will be a hit. I wish the best for Slavic Magic, who has worked so hard on this game and made sure that his product is realistic and immersive. Watch this video here where I compare Paradox's newest title, Victoria 3, with the real Victorian age. See you there.